program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at. Happy Tuesday. If I said this wasn't a busy news day, I would definitely be lying to you, because it certainly is. We have so much to talk about. We have phenomenal guests today with the breaking news of 30,000 more pages of the Epstein Files being released. And yes, it is an absolute bombshell. Gloria Allred is going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. She has represented multiple clients and alleged Jeffrey Epstein victims. We are going to get her reaction to what I am about to tell you, and Ryan Shedd is going to be joining us here in just a few moments. So the Trump DOJ briefly and by accident published data set 8 of the Epstein Files last night, and then they abruptly removed it. Geez, I wonder why. Among the materials, and I'm going to give you some of the highlights here for lack of a better term. Among the materials is a letter purportedly sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar, the former USA gymnastics doctor and convicted sex offender. The envelope is postmarked just days after Epstein's death. He said, "Our president shares our love of young, nobile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab, snatch." I am reading. These are not my words. These are the words of Jeffrey Epstein to another proven pedophile, Larry Nassar. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, Trump is accused with a 1995 rape claim. The victim was later found dead. A Dallas limo driver said he nearly pulled over to confront Trump after hearing disturbing comments about abusing some girl during a 1995 ride. A girl later told the driver that Donald J. Trump had raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein. She was later found dead, her head, quote, blown off in Oklahoma. Officers locally there said that there was no way that it was a suicide, though it was ruled as one. The DOJ released internal emails referring to 10 co-conspirators. Who were they? No names have been released. And even MAGA people are on my side on this one. Why were the names not released? Why were there no arrests? This is obviously very, very damning, not just to Donald Trump, to any others that may or may not have been involved. And I'm wondering how MAGA is going to spin this one. Oh, yeah. In these reports, they also learned that Donald Trump was on the Epstein flight log in Epstein's personal jet many more times than they thought. Joining us on the program right now to talk to us about this and these revelations is my good friend Ryan Shedd, the very popular left-leaning podcaster. Ryan, it is good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Sorry I missed you when you were in Phoenix.
Let's get this out of the way first. Before we talk about the Epstein Files, not to say that your story is not important, because it is, and that's originally why I wanted.
Yeah, we'll say that till the end. Yeah.
But no, let's get this out of the way right now, because this is important. So Ryan was supposed to be joining me at AmFest in Phoenix. He lives in Arizona. He got a visit from some FBI agents because of a tweet that he put out. By the way, I didn't think there was anything wrong with your tweet. Ryan, I want you to give us the opportunity here, or I want to give you the opportunity to explain what happened.
Yeah, no, thanks for giving me the microphone for a minute. It's been a crazy experience, that's for sure. So a couple people showed up to the house on Friday. We have our security cameras, so, we were looking at that. Lady in like jeans that looked like capris. Dude had a t-shirt on, didn't see any firearms on him, didn't flash their badge. Like, the whole thing just felt off, didn't back away from the door. I've had law enforcement come to my house before, unfortunately, and they always back away from the door to kind of let you come out and whatever. And it's also to protect them too. And, they didn't do that. They were right up on the door. Dude tried the handle to our security door before ringing the doorbell, which that was a little odd. So I just was able to verify about an hour ago that they were in fact FBI agents here in Tucson. So the two people that came to my house are in fact FBI agents. Now, the reason that they came is because I said I was going to track Kyle Rittenhouse down at AmFest because I had some questions for him. They literally read that verbatim to me when I asked them what I had said to cause them to come to the house. And I just asked them a couple times, like, and that warranted you coming here? Why? And needless to say, I didn't end the conversation very well. It's on my social media. But this is a much deeper conversation because it's not just happening to me. It's happening. I'm seeing it happen to like young female creators. Like, that's a problem because this is a freedom of speech thing. Like, I'm glad that it wasn't agents that were somebody pretending to be agents, because that would have been much worse. These were just two people doing their job, whatever. But it's who's telling them to do this job, and was it valid? And it wasn't. Nothing that they read me was a valid reason for them to come to my house. So it's intimidation. It's meant to shut us up. It's meant to get me to stop posting everything I am. And guess what? If they're sending the FBI to my house, that tells you that everything I'm saying is hitting something with them. It's hitting a nerve. It's making them send and use resources to try to intimidate me. So maybe we should pay attention to the things that the people are getting FBI sent to right now, because we're the ones trying to tell you everything that's going on, and they're trying to shut us up. And this is the last thing I'll say before I hand it back. Just 3 or 4 hours ago, what we are about to talk about here with Jeffrey Epstein, I had the letter that he sent to, was it Nasser?
Yeah.
That was being posted online. It was on my timeline. It vanished.
Wow.
And it's not just mine. It's other, like somebody else tagged me,
Wow.
a bigger creator, and it vanished from their page. And basically they texted me to be like, is it still on yours? And I said, I went and looked and it wasn't. So like, I have a screenshot of it there and then a screenshot of it not there. None of us removed it. Just for you guys out there. None of us took it down.
And then they released it by accident last night anyway, showing the incompetence of Donald Trump's DOJ. But I also want to say, a friend of the show and a friend of mine, Ed Krasenstein, also very popular on social media. He got a visit from the FBI a few months ago as well. And
Did he really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
This is just intimidation by the Trump administration, nothing else. Please continue to do what you're doing, Ryan. And I'm sorry that happened to you. And we got your back, my friend.
Appreciate it.
I can tell you this, as I just mentioned earlier on about these Epstein revelations. Listen, I had no idea that this was going to be coming out. I'm not saying that it surprises me, but as I mentioned earlier, Ryan, you have Donald Trump in the Epstein Files that is accused allegedly of rape back in 1995. You have this limo driver that said he almost pulled over to confront Trump because he claims that he heard Trump making disturbing comments about abusing some girl in 95. That girl, they claimed was a suicide. At least that's what was ruled as one. But we're learning that local law enforcement there on the record saying, quote, there's no way it was a suicide. So you also have a lot of other stuff that has come forward, as you mentioned, including the letter that Jeffrey Epstein wrote to Larry Nassar. We also have a letter that a friend of the show, Mark Epstein, sent to the FBI claiming that he felt like his brother was going to spill the beans. Yep. And he felt like Donald Trump could be responsible for the death of his brother, allegedly. We're now learning that the FBI in these Epstein files, or at least in the investigation, that he was on the Epstein flight log far more than they thought he was.
Yep.
And this is just a small sample. And then the FBI puts out a tweet earlier today, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically saying, hey, don't believe everything that you read in here. But it's funny because they didn't put out that warning after they released all those Bill Clinton photos. Geez, I wonder why. What do you make of all this, Ryan?
Again, shocking. I'm sure it's not the last time we're going to be shocked. I was talking with some friends earlier, and it's like, we just kind of want this to be done. Like we just want everybody to be able to know what the heck happened and where we're going from here. The victims want answers. They're telling us that we don't have all the information. And so once again, we should listen to the victims. But I think we all need to pay attention to who is trying to keep this at bay. Who are the people that are like, oh, that's not true, or oh, that's just a picture, whatever. Like Bill Clinton, I thought that was pretty masterful, honestly. Like he literally came out and was like, no, if you're going to release it, release everything. Like, don't just nitpick and, just release 30 pictures of me and then hide everybody else's face. Like, no, release all of it. I thought that was a pretty OG move. Again, not saying Bill Clinton isn't, problematic, just saying in this instance, that was a well-played ball. Look, this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And we need to realize that I keep hearing I'm hoping everything's okay. But at the end of the day, all this information coming out now, I would like it to just all come out and be done with it for once. And right now it's like, it's a slow drip, as a friend of mine put it. And it just keeps getting worse. So my fear is, number one, this isn't the worst of it. I don't think we've seen the worst of it yet. Number two, you kind of brought it up. That's why I'm this. I had this thought a few days ago, which is, we keep talking about how projection is their big tool, right? And to me, the right has been saying for years, and Trump has been amplifying it, that, oh, the Clintons have had so-and-so, taken care of. And it's like, when you start hearing these stories, it's like, more projection? Is this how you guys were doing business? And you were just trying to make it look like the Democrats and liberals? And I'll cap it off with this. I want you all to remember that the FBI played a very significant role in Hillary Clinton losing the 2016 election. I want you to remember that Republicans believe the thinnest of evidence against a Democrat or a liberal or a politician of color, while simultaneously doing the complete opposite. Yeah. So I want to caution everybody to realize that this is a tipping point. Like, we see who the people that don't want this to come out are. Like, that is evident. The microscope is on. We are seeing all the little amoebas in the dish running around trying to stop it. It's not stopping. It's not going to stop. I don't care where they put Ghislaine Maxwell. They can put her up in the Bahamas somewhere. This is going to come out, and the president of the United States is not going to be able to stop it. And the reason is there are too many people now behind the closed doors that realize they can't control this anymore, and they're about to send him out to slaughter.
And, and by the way, I apologize for that, Ryan. We were having some camera issues in the studio.
I was like, is it me?
We had some camera issues. No
worries, brother. No worries.
I do find it interesting that they post all these Bill Clinton photos. And to my knowledge, he hasn't been, nobody alleged that he raped anybody. But the FBI doesn't put out any sort of warning, hey, don't believe what you read, or nothing like that when it comes to Bill Clinton. But yet this morning, they put out a statement basically trying to cover up for Donald Trump. I find that very interesting.
The loyalists are insane, and you bring me on here almost every week, and we end up talking about that almost every week. Is Donald Trump learned from January 6th what positions he was going to need to have loyalists in to get his agenda accomplished. Now, of course, he had assistance with that, with like Stephen Miller Heritage Foundation, blah 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 blah. But overall, that's what happened here. They went, we're going to need to have the director of the FBI. We're going to need to have the Department of Defense, and we'll call him the Department of War, so that when we do finally give him those illegal orders, he's going to be like, yeah, it's war, fog of war. That's what Pete Hegseth is going to say for the remainder of his days as Department of whatever. He's going to keep saying fog of war. It's the fake news excuse for war crimes.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree. If you're just joining us, Ryan Shedd, a popular left-leaning podcaster, obviously talking about the 30,000 new pages that were, I guess you could say, maybe accidentally released by the FBI last night. Yeah,
I think somebody did it on purpose.
Somebody had to have done it on purpose. I tend to agree with you. This couldn't have been some sort of innocent mistake.
And on some of it unredacted too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it's amazing because Ed Krasenstein was able to cut and paste, and he went on the FBI website and then looked at some of the files, and he was able to. It's really amazing that somebody and Ed's
Let
really
me connect these dots for you.
Yeah. Ed's a really smart guy. Don't get me wrong. Ed and Brian are great, but it didn't take a brain surgeon to do that, and I'm glad that Ed did do that. And it shows you the incompetence. I want to ask you another question. It appears to me, without and this wouldn't be a shocker to anybody, that Kash Patel lied under oath. And I say he lied under oath. And the reason why he lied under oath, it's pretty clear because he said there wasn't any sex trafficking going on. I know that'll shock you. He said there's no evidence of any sex trafficking going right now. We learned the Virgin Islands and all the lawsuits and all the court documents that's actually not the case. And it was probably going on at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. I mean, look, we already know that Virginia Giuffre, go buy her book, by the way, if you haven't bought it already. She'd come out and hell, Donald Trump, they've confirmed it. The reason he got mad at Epstein was because they had come and taken Virginia away from Mar-a-Lago. So if they took her away from Mar-a-Lago, knowing that they were going to use her, my instinct tells me that it was because she was probably doing similar things at Mar-a-Lago. Mm-hmm. So, again, and now we found out, like I said a long time ago, was that Donald Trump could keep his house slippers on and walk down to Jeffrey Epstein's house and nobody would know it. They lived that close to each other. So that always debunked the whole, well, he kicked him out of his club years ago. It's like, yeah, that was to save face because he saw all the stuff that was coming in 08.
And Ryan, this has not necessarily anything to do with Trump, and just the statement that Kash Patel made. He said there was no evidence that Epstein trafficked minors to others. The FBI's own emails pointed to at least 10 co-conspirators, including 6 who they say served in the first. Also, Mark Epstein told the FBI his brother was murdered. He claimed that Trump authorized it on February 22nd, 2023. He submitted a tip to the FBI alleging that Epstein was murdered in his jail cell. He claimed Epstein was killed because he was about to name names. Yeah. This is stuff that was in the Epstein files. This isn't stuff just we're making stuff up out of thin air.
Well, look at everything that's come out. All the people that are connected to him. It's not just Trump. Like, let's be honest. Like, there's a lot of people that have skin in that game of wanting to silence him. And I want to remind you, because I was lucky enough to be in the studio with you when we talked with his brother, and he also brought up the two doctors that said it was a suicide, but then the other doctor had said no, it wasn't. And so even his own brother is telling us, like, look, the doctors didn't even freaking agree. They didn't agree at the autopsy of what happened to him. So
right, no, that's a good point. And we spoke about that when you were in studio. So listen, there's a lot to dissect here, but maybe, and you could tell me whether you agree or not, Ryan, you can make the case that maybe the most important document that was released accidentally or whatever the case may be last night was that, at least to me, there were 10 co-conspirators that were investigated by the DOJ 100%. Related to Epstein and Maxwell. None of them were charged. Shouldn't we know why? Shouldn't we be able to get a little more information about that? And don't the victims deserve justice? Why were they not named? Why were they not charged?
100%. I co-sign that 100%. Everybody, that's what everybody wants. Like you said in the beginning of the show, that even MAGA are siding with us on this, because you can't sit there for 3, 4, 5 years and say, oh, the Epstein Files, Biden Democrats are all over it, and then play this game. Even they see it. They're like, we can't now. Like, let's see who's in it. Let's see who's all connected. Let's see who they didn't charge. Let's see how long they were getting away with this. Let's see who helped them get through the system all those times. We already know how he got Epstein got the sweetheart deal in 08. So, yeah, I want to know the rest of it. Who else got deals? Who else flipped on who? I know they know these things. So no doubt. Release it. Tell us who it is. And like you said, these victims, forget us, and our nosiness wanting to know what the heck actually transpired. Yeah, these victims want closure. They deserve closure.
Ryan, I was just going to bring that up. Obviously we feel the same way about Donald Trump and what I believe he did. And obviously we want justice for the victims, but I'm thinking right now, as you just accurately mentioned, is the victims.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what some of these people
Every
went
time
through.
this drops,
I
every
just
time
can't
something new
imagine.
drops.
Oh, I just can't imagine the hell
Yeah.
that these young children had to have gone through, regardless of who it was, whether it was a Jeffrey Epstein, whether it was somebody else in a powerful position, whether it was allegedly Donald Trump, whoever it was, that they've had to live with this throughout their whole lives. And my heart goes out to them. And the
Yeah.
fact that all this stuff is being redacted and some stuff is coming out and some stuff isn't coming out, and Donald Trump is calling it a hoax,
They're
which is
cherry
so,
picking everything. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it's so reprehensible. And I think about the victims and their families, and obviously this is something that you never forget that affects you for your entire life. And
no matter how much trauma, how trauma healing you've gone through, it's still there, and you never know what's going to set it off.
And what a big fundamental difference where we're at now as a country. First of all, let's start with Bill Clinton. Through one of his people, they put out an official statement saying, release everything.
Yep.
Bill Clinton is the one that is calling on the release of everything. Now, I don't know what Bill Clinton did or didn't do, but I know there's one person that literally wants everything released, and there's another person that's trying to hide everything. That's number one. And number two, you couldn't find me one Democrat in office today that doesn't want these files released.
Thank you.
You can find me a plethora of Republicans, MAGA Republicans, that do not want this released. To my knowledge, the only people, and I do give them credit where credit is due, even though I'm not a fan of Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have been correct on this issue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll co-sign that, and I have a similar distaste for those ladies.
Yep.
But absolutely, I said, the way we move forward from this is calling balls and strikes.
Yeah.
No matter who it comes from, and that doesn't mean we have to co-sign the other 98% of Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert stuff.
Right.
It just means that we can say, you know what, today they got it right, and that's something I can support.
No doubt, Ryan. It's really sad that we are in the state of affairs that we are in right now as a country. And I'm very, I'm saddened for the victims, obviously. That's the first thing that comes to mind for me. And I'm more saddened, or just as saddened, that we have a president that calls this all a hoax, that we have real victims here, real victims of what I believe are serious crimes. And the president of the United States is calling this a Democratic hoax. We all know that Jeffrey Epstein was a monster. I hope he's burning in hell. I don't know whether he was murdered or whether he committed suicide, but I do hope that he is burning in hell. We have a lot of victims, and this has been swept underneath the rug, mainly because, in my personal opinion, we have a lot of powerful people with a lot of money, and I don't care whether they're Republicans or Democrats. One thing we know for sure is that Donald Trump did not want to get this information out there. He didn't want it out there. And I believe there are a ton of credible people in the Epstein files that have said things on the record, and they have swept this underneath the rug. Well, guess what? Now it's time for the chickens to come home to roost. That's my personal opinion. It's time.
No, absolutely. And I think I just want to cap that off with reminding people, he had Epstein's brother on the show. Yeah. And, as I was listening to that, I try not to talk a whole lot because I really wanted to take it in. So I really just caution people to listen to what his brother is saying, because the brother has seen the autopsies. His brother's seen that, and when I listened to him, the one thing I didn't hear a ton of emotion, overly emotional, responses. It was very detailed, and he said some very eye-opening things. So, I mean, with all this information coming out, with the things his brother has said, with all the dots that are being connected, by accounts out there. Yeah. These victims are going to get justice. It's just, are they going to get the kind of justice they really deserved?
Exactly. And, I think justice is a word that is used way too much. And I don't think these victims will ever get true justice, but at least if we could find out the truth, and if it tarnishes people's reputations, I suppose it's better than nothing. Ryan, it's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, brother.
Before I let you go, can you please give out that information? Where can people find your podcast, and where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, you could please come follow me on YouTube. You can find it under Ryan Shed, SHEAD. But also, I do a podcast with Marcus Flowers called With All Due Respect. We have a couple of candidates coming on the show in January. So we're really excited. We're going to be back January 8th. So come check that out. And if you want to, you can go download us on iTunes and wherever else you get your podcast from. And as always, thank you, brother. And thank you to the production team back there.
Of course. It's always a pleasure having you on, Ryan. I'm sorry that you had to go through what you went through over the weekend, but we will catch up again soon. Ryan, everybody, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. All right, there you go. All right, coming up next, a very popular attorney who has represented so many victims and given them justice with sexual abuse and so on. Her name is Gloria Allred, and she currently represents several alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Gloria Allred will be joining us next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Remy Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter.
Here's the deal. The country's a mess, and America's youth is stuck at the center of a tug-of-war between propaganda, billionaires, and political clowns who think TikTok is a national security threat, yet can't open their own email. But the real threat that keeps them up at night isn't TikTok. It's the power of the youth vote, and that's what the Unfuck America Tour is after. We're traveling the country, hitting campuses and cities, exposing the right wing's playbook and calling out all the tricks they use to hook young people. We saw the youth vote shift in 2024, and if we don't reclaim that momentum now, we lose the future, our future. We're not bankrolled by billionaires, corporations, or dark money. We're backed by regular people like you, who won't sit back while the rich strip this country for parts. We need you to help us stay on the road to push back against the misinformation machine. Click the link in the description or head over to unfuckamericatour.com to donate, because nobody else is coming to fix this mess.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, a lot of breaking news to report. And obviously, the big news that we have been talking about is the files that have been released and then taken down as of last night. Data set 8 of the Epstein Files. The lovely lady joining us on the line right now. I have so much respect for her. She's such a great attorney, and she's had such an incredible career in defending and supporting those, especially women that have been victims of abuse. And she has also been a part of this in a way in defending and representing some victims allegedly in the Epstein Files. Of course, I'm talking about friend of the show, Gloria Allred, who always is so nice with her time with us. Gloria, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Just fine, and thank you very much for inviting me to be with you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you,
Yeah,
Brian.
appreciate it, Gloria. And I saw you on CNN last night, and we did not know that this was going to happen, where all these files are now released. I want to get your first reaction to this, where we see in these files that we at least have allegedly one victim who claimed allegedly, that Donald Trump raped her. And then she commits suicide, but local law enforcement are claiming that they didn't believe it was a suicide. I'm just wondering, what is your reaction when you heard of this?
I don't know about that, but I will say this. I've represented 27 victims, survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, and according to the law, every file of the hundreds of thousands of pages was supposed to be released on Friday night, according to the Epstein Files Transparency Act. As we all know now, it was not all released on Friday, December 19th. So there's a drip, drip, drip with more being released today. And, a promise that by the end of the year, which is very soon, that the remainder will be released. That is not what the law requires. It's a violation of the laws. And in addition, a priority was supposed to be, again, consistent with the law, that names of survivors were to be redacted. In other words, erased, not published. That's not what happened. I found out on Saturday morning that that we had given names to the Department of Justice to be redacted, but they were published and not redacted. So our legal team jumped into action. We contacted the Department of Justice, and they, I will say, did take immediate action. They have a special team in charge of redacting what should have been redacted, correcting, and they did remove the names ASAP. But the names should not have been published in the first place.
That's horrible.
And
That's horrible.
the names of family members also are to be redacted, because that could be used to identify the survivor.
Of course.
So that's where we are. And in addition to, of course, lots of content about famous figures who may or may not have been involved in any activity that they shouldn't have been.
Do you find it interesting, Gloria, that, they release all these photos of Bill Clinton and the DOJ basically doesn't say anything, but yet this morning, when they know all this information is out about Donald Trump, then they put out a warning basically saying, don't believe what you read. I mean, that's really what they said in a tweet this morning. But all this other stuff, they didn't put out any of those types of warnings. Do you find that interesting?
I think what you're pointing out, Brian, is extremely important. It is not appropriate for the Department of Justice, which is supposed to be independent from the president, but we all know that it's not. It's like his private law firm. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche is in charge of overseeing the release of the files, and he was formerly the criminal defense attorney for the president when the president, who was not serving as president at the time, but had formerly been president, was convicted of 34 felonies in a New York court. So no, it's not appropriate for them to say, don't believe this person, but they, the assumption is, but you can believe everything about everybody else. Sure. No, that's not appropriate. It's not even close to being appropriate.
Gloria, I know that, your responsibility and what you do, you want justice for the victims. And I totally respect that. That should be number one. But I have to ask you about this because Mark Epstein has done this show before. I like Mark. And Epstein, apparently in the files that were released last night, told the FBI that he believed that his brother was murdered, claimed that Trump authorized it. Now, obviously, you don't know. We don't know everything involved with that. But Epstein said to the FBI that he believed that his brother was about to name names. It says that in the files. I mean, that's pretty damning stuff. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't know what Epstein, that is Jeffrey Epstein, was about to do or not do. But, I respect the right of his brother to draw conclusions that he wishes to draw and state his views. I know there's controversy over whether the death of Jeffrey Epstein was a suicide or a homicide. I'm not ready to say because I don't know, and I have reviewed some of the materials, and I just really don't know. It's very suspicious. We know that. It's a failure of the system once again in reference to the victims, because many of the survivors were happy when he was arrested because he got a sweetheart deal in
Right.
2008, which was mysterious and suspicious and failed the
Sure.
victims. And now, because of his death, they're unable to confront him in a court of law, as many of them wish to do, and testify against him. So it just adds to the mystery as to why. And I have a feeling that mystery will remain. And you know what? When there's a vacuum of information, that leads to conspiracy theories, which may or may not have a basis in fact. I don't know.
I want to, Gloria, I want to ask you, with your legal expertise, you had Kash Patel under oath that said, quote, there was no credible evidence that he saw of sex trafficking. One prominent accuser, Virginia Guffrey, accused Maxwell of recruiting her from Mar-a-Lago. And my understanding is that there's far more information that has come out, evidence that there was sex trafficking going on. Do you believe Kash Patel should maybe face some consequences for that? It appears as though he lied under oath.
Well, I don't know if he lied or that was just his opinion, but I will say this. Ms. Maxwell was convicted of sex trafficking,
Right.
of conspiring, let's put it this way, to sex traffic with Jeffrey Epstein, to sex traffic underage girls. So I don't, I don't have a lot of confidence in Kash Patel and his opinions and statements, or even his qualifications to be head of the FBI. So
Right.
I guess everybody could judge for themselves.
Gloria, you've represented dozens of victims in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. Do you believe that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are hiding something?
It doesn't promote a lot of confidence in the Department of Justice of the United States when they're not complying with the law. When she states she has or suggests that she has the client list on her desk, and then later it's stated that there is no client list. That doesn't promote confidence. I mean, the survivors have been failed so many times. And for me, as an attorney who has lots of cases in addition to the Jeffrey Epstein case, I like to have my clients have confidence in the Department of Justice, that there will be some justice. But right now, it seems like in many ways it's the Department of Injustice. And I can't tell them to have confidence in them when we're told that their names will be redacted and then they're not. When sweetheart deals are made against a perpetrator of child sexual abuse, when he dies mysteriously in prison, when Ms. Maxwell is visited by the deputy attorney of the United States and asked questions, and then she's looking for a pardon or a commutation from the president whom she knows. And also the deputy attorney general says, after he's criticized for some of the questions he asked and for not referring to some of the evidence that was clearly in the possession of the estate, because the estate of Jeffrey Epstein provided it to the Congress when there was a subpoena. Like, why didn't the Department of Justice subpoena it? Why didn't they have it?
That's a very valid question. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, how can I tell them to have confidence?
No,
and
you're
that is a problem, because if they can't have confidence, that many victims of others will be afraid or not feel comfortable reporting to the Department of Justice sexual predators of underage girls. They're not pedophiles we're talking about. We're talking about predators, child molesters.
Yeah.
Why would they have confidence that these people will be prosecuted when in like one of the biggest criminal sex trafficking of children cases of our time, we can't have confidence in what they're doing out there?
I could not agree with you more. 10 co-conspirators in these files. Not one name has been let out to the general public. Why do you think with these 10 co-conspirators, no charges were ever filed? I know that's the big question. Why?
It is a big question. And the answer can be found potentially two places. The federal prosecutor back in 2007 who wrote a long memo and also had created a 60-page indictment of Jeffrey Epstein for the federal, for the United States Attorney, for the Department of Justice to file. We have to see her memo of, who she thought should be prosecuted, co-conspirators, if she did indicate some there. And also we have to see what she wanted to file, the numerous felonies against Jeffrey Epstein, who knows who else. We don't have that information yet. Okay. That would be potentially, Brian, a roadmap,
right,
to what should have happened, could have happened, but instead, Jeffrey Epstein's case was transferred to the state prosecutor, the district attorney, rather than the federal prosecutor. And he only ended up, I think, maybe with one, maybe with two counts against him for soliciting an act of prostitution with a minor, for which he was sentenced to 13 months in jail and was allowed to leave every day and go to his office, where now it's alleged that he sexually abused girls in his office and then returned at night to the jail to sleep. What a sweetheart deal. It has to be explained to Alex Acosta, who was the United States Attorney for the Department of Justice at the time in the Trump administration. Has a lot of splaining to do, as they say in the South. He did apparently give his deposition to the Congress, but that has not been released. Let him testify publicly. Require him to do that at a congressional hearing. Let's get the facts, man. Nothing but the facts.
Sadly, Gloria, I think there are a lot of MAGA Republicans in D.C. that do not want the facts. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Of all the clients that you've represented here, have any of your clients ever accused Donald Trump of any criminal wrongdoing at all, to your knowledge?
I cannot disclose what my clients tell me. That's attorney-client confidential communication, and they have that privilege under the law, and so I can't disclose that. They
Understood.
could.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And I appreciate you answering all my questions. I always do, Gloria. I have a feeling this story's not going away. Number one, and I think we will 100% agree on this. While, yes, this allegedly involves the president and a lot of powerful figures, and I think a lot of people on the left have said, including Bill Clinton, release everything. We need justice for the victims, many of whom you represent. That should be number one here. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. What matters is we need justice for the victims. You've been doing this your entire life. And that's what gets me more angry. And I know it gets you so angry. This shouldn't be about politics. Obviously, if the president of the United States did anything in there, we should know about that. But I don't care whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. And can you just emphasize how important that should be?
I agree with you 100%, Brian.
Yeah.
There is now a political battle, which I always say politics is a blood sport. It's ugly. It's accusatory. Sometimes it gets to the truth and sometimes it doesn't. But having said that, I am all about justice for my clients and protecting my clients so they don't, become roadkill in this political battle, and they achieve justice and respect and dignity and accountability against third parties. Yes, President Clinton said, look, whatever there is in the file, just get it all out, because he doesn't feel he needs to be protected from anything because he didn't do anything wrong. And I think that should be true for anything involving the president as well. Get it all out. He's obviously in the files. He knows he's in the files.
Right.
In the words of his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, he didn't do anything awful. So let's just get it all out for both of them. Yeah. The president yesterday appeared to express some sympathy for former President Clinton.
Yeah.
I guess President Clinton is not on his list when he formally said prominent Democrats should be investigated.
Yeah.
Well, again, why not prominent Republicans? Why not independents? Why not people with no political affiliation? Why is it only Democrats? Yeah. So that's a political decision. And I just want all the facts, truth and transparency, and potentially accountability for third persons, rich, powerful men who might have sexually exploited and or trafficked, supported, enabled, conspired with Epstein and or Maxwell to sexually exploit underage girls and also adult women. We want those names. We want to know, is there sufficient evidence to prosecute any of them? If so, let's see it. Let's see the evidence. And if not, we want to know why not. That's what this is all about.
Will there be last question? Will there be a time where perhaps the alleged victims that you are representing, that information could come out to the general public on any claims that they may or may not have with prominent figures, whether that be the president or others? Will there be a time where maybe the public might be able to see that?
Well, the answer is the following. Many of them did speak to federal investigators and give what's called a 302 statement and or prosecutors. So what they said should come out under the law, but not their names and not any identifying information. Of course.
Good.
So a lot of that is not out yet. And so that's an answer to your question.
Okay.
And we have to look. And by the way, we need these files to be more easily searchable for the general public. Because right now there's like a bunch of dots all over the place, but we got to connect the dots for them easily so the public can make sense of this, so that the press can make sense of it. And then there's also the problem of some files wrongly published, taken off, redacted, put back, or not put back. So this whole thing is sloppy. It's a mess. And it's just, really disrespectful to both the public and also to the survivors.
Gloria, I couldn't agree with you more. My thoughts are with all the victims, including those who you represent. We want them to get justice. Please keep up the fight. Keep up the great work. I always love to hear from you, and always are gracious with your time on this show, Gloria. Please keep up the great work. And
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Gloria, very much. Gloria Allred, everybody. Always appreciate it when she takes the time to answer all my questions that come on the show. She's a busy lady. And, one of the many reasons why I have so much respect for Gloria Allred is because at her age, it's amazing what she is still doing at her age. And she's not doing it for the money. She's not doing it for the fame. She's doing it because I know she cares about these victims and she wants to help them. That is why in too many situations, I think there are a lot of attorneys out, maybe not a lot, but there are a percentage of attorneys who do it because they want the fame, they want the power, they want the money. Gloria doesn't need the money. She's doing it because she cares. And that's why I've always had so much respect for Gloria Allred. What a wonderful attorney and a wonderful person. And we really appreciate her taking the time to join us. Okay, so we need to unwrap some things. There's a lot more breaking news that we need to share with all of you. And I also want to give you guys the opportunity to call into the show. So there's a lot of information that has come out. The DOJ is claiming that this letter that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly sent to Larry Nassar is fake. I don't believe what Donald Trump's DOJ, quite frankly, is saying about anything. They're making the case that, well, it doesn't match his handwriting. We heard the same thing about the Donald Trump birthday letter. We heard the same thing from the DOJ there. This is fake. This is phony. I believe that birthday letter is real. I believe this letter is real. It is not uncommon for somebody in a jailhouse to send out a letter days, weeks, even months after that letter was written. And they're making the case, the DOJ, is that because this letter was written, or I'm sorry, this letter was postmarked a couple days later, that somehow it can't be real. I'm not buying that 100%. I think it's real. I don't care what the DOJ says. The DOJ, Donald Trump's DOJ, has been hiding this stuff for months and months, ever since Donald Trump took office. We have Kash Patel, who lied under oath. We have Pam Bondi, who has made everybody on the right look foolish because of the binder situation and the fact that she claimed she had the list on her desk. There is absolute zero credibility when it comes to Pam Bondi on this. zero credibility when it comes to Kash Patel, Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's DOJ. In my personal opinion, they are continuing to protect pedophiles. If you're saying that they're not, then why have they not released the 10 co-conspirators? We want to know who they were, and we want to know why charges weren't filed. Release all the information and be transparent, and then we can be done with it. But we know that the Trump administration and Trump's DOJ will not do it. Kash Patel was asked under oath 7 times, did you tell Pam Bondi that Trump is in the Epstein files? He wouldn't answer the question because they are a cult hiding behind Donald Trump. Whether Donald Trump committed criminal acts or not, I don't know. Here's what I do know. There's a lot of stuff in the Epstein files that have already been released that are very damning to Donald Trump, and there's a lot of files that have yet to be released that I am positive are damning to Donald Trump. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will take your phone calls at 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the program, now's the time to do so. The revelations on 30,000 pages that were released in the Epstein files, including data set 8 that was released last night and then abruptly removed. But a lot of people saved those files, and we got them, and we're talking about them. Do you think Donald Trump, you think this will move the needle in any way, shape, or form? Number to call, 702-221-7283. Do you think this letter is real? Do you think it's fake? Do you think Donald Trump's DOJ is telling the truth, or are they lying? 702-221-7283. Your call's next. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are.
were allegedly accidentally released last night. And then Donald Trump's DOJ abruptly removed it. They're claiming that this letter that was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar, which is, by the way, in the Epstein files, now all of a sudden today the DOJ is saying, hey, we don't think it's real. We don't think this is Jeffrey Epstein's handwriting. It was postmarked a couple days after Epstein died. Yet it's in the Epstein files, but they're saying, no, there's no credibility here. Don't believe that for a second. Where apparently Epstein said, our president shares our love for young, nobile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to, quote, grab, snatch. But yeah, the FBI is saying, oh, there's nothing to see here. They did the same thing with the birthday card, the alleged birthday card that was sent to Jeffrey Epstein. They said that was fake too. So I don't believe anything that Donald Trump's DOJ says. When you got idiots like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel who belong in jail, we also have a victim that stated that Trump and Epstein raped her, and that a limo driver heard Trump in the back seat speaking to Jeffrey about abusing girls. Then the victim coincidentally committed suicide back in January of 2000 after reporting this incident. Local police claim they didn't believe it was a suicide. Nothing to see here, right? Nothing to see here. I want to take some phone calls at 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Jason. Jason's first. What's up, Jason?
Okay, so allow me with this soliloquy. Number one, Republican Party and Donald Trump must think we're stupid. Because if you remember correctly, and let's go all the way back to 2016, the Republican Party had that dirt on Donald Trump and sold it to the DNC, and then the DNC ran with the Russia.
Correct.
That's number one.
Correct.
Number two, do you really believe in the job numbers that they put out? I don't. I think it's trash. I think they're garbage. I don't think it's truthful. That's number two. But the most important part was the letter. Of course that's real, because if we remember correctly, when he said with his big Donald Trump sign to Jeffrey Epstein, that was and then they showed the both of them comparison. It was exactly a carbon copy.
Yep.
But this is the one that really infuriates me more than anything, and I'm really aggravated. Joe Biden tried to save a whole lot of people from debt. He really tried, and Donald Trump got in office and stopped all that. Now the government is sending out letters right now, starting. Merry Christmas, and I hope I pray it's majority of MAGA that's going to get this. But
yeah, you're talking about the student loans. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Not only that, they said that now that they're gonna with reciprocity, they're gonna come back faster. So say your first month is gonna be $200, the next month's gonna be $300, the next month's gonna be $500. They're gonna try to, and they're gonna ruin a lot of people's lives. So and everybody, USA, it's all these evil men that built the government, use all the tricks that rich fathers, whatever they got to pay for their loans, and then they want everybody else to suffer.
Jason, so I'm with you, Jason, 150%. Sad times that we are living in, my friend. And again, we're covering the massive breaking news that I would call it. Data set 8 of the Epstein Files show that a victim stated that Trump and Epstein raped her, and that a limo driver heard Trump in the back speaking to Jeffrey about abusing girls. The victim then committed suicide back in January of 2000 after reporting the incident. Police didn't believe it was suicide. This needs to be shared everywhere. Also talking about a document in the Post, a redacted FBI report back in 2020. Names of the accuser and victim are blacked out. As I said, the accuser, a limo driver who reported overhearing Trump discussing this, and the alleged victim is a woman who claimed Trump and Epstein raped her. This is very, very important, and I would argue maybe even more important is the fact that the document that was released overnight shows 10 co-conspirators investigated by the DOJ related to Epstein and Maxwell. None of them were charged. Why? Don't you think the victims deserve to know? Why? But let's talk about Hunter Biden sniffing kids. Let's talk about the Hunter Biden laptop. Let's talk about the Biden crime family. You people are sick. You support this man. You continue to support a man who is a liable sexual abuser, who is all over the Epstein files. They are, if they release this, imagine how damning it is to Donald Trump, the stuff that they haven't released. Think about that for a moment. Think about it. Is there any rightful minded human being that thinks that this woman took her own life? Even local law enforcement said, quote, no way it was a suicide. How interesting, after it was that she reported the rape that she claimed allegedly was conducted by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Interesting, don't you think? Let's go to Rebecca, 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Hello, Rebecca.
Brian, how you doing?
Hey.
I don't know if this can be made in a clip, but I hope you, the Midas Touch team, Adam Mockler, Keith Edwards, you got to get your hands on that case where the girl was murdered or supposedly committed suicide in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
The police must have something. That poor girl needs justice. We all know what happened to her and need to know who did it.
I concur.
26 years.
I concur, and I agree with you 150%. Sadly, with Donald Trump still in power, I don't think we're really going to know the truth until Donald Trump is long gone. That's my personal opinion. Certainly not until he's out of office. But I completely concur, and I agree with you. And what allegedly happened to this young woman, my heart goes out to her, and then it appears as though it was not a suicide based on what local law enforcement are saying. And when you look at these files that were released, and then all of a sudden, don't you find it interesting that they released these files last night, and then all of a sudden, then they abruptly remove it? And Ryan Shedd,
I wonder if there's somebody in there leaking it.
There has to be.
I really do.
There has to be. There has to be somebody in there that's leaking it out, and then all of a sudden they remove it. That was, I can't imagine that was just a oops, my bad. And that's just some of the stuff that was released. Imagine all the other stuff that hasn't been released that I would imagine is very, very damning to a lot of powerful people and maybe the president of the United States.
And to Ryan, the PTL Nation, we love you. We support you. Just keep sharing your voice.
Absolutely.
Don't let them intimidate you.
Well said, my dear. Thank you for the call. We appreciate you. Number to call, by the way, if you want to join the conversation, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 702-221-7283. So there's a lot that we are covering here in the breaking news. And the DOJ, Donald Trump's DOJ, is claiming that this letter that allegedly Jeffrey Epstein sent to Larry Nassar that is in the Epstein files back in 2019, just days before, it is very interesting that the DOJ is now saying nothing to see here. We don't think it's real. We don't think the handwriting is his handwriting. All right, well, show us how you concluded, how you came to that conclusion. Please show us. Please show us. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Alexa. Alexa is next up on PTL. Hi, Alexa.
Hi, Brian. Happy holidays.
Hey, happy holidays, Alexa.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
Trump has immunity. So what happens with the immunity?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. My understanding is that it's virtually impossible, almost impossible. You can find somebody liable, perhaps, but criminal wrongdoing, it's almost virtually impossible to get anybody that is in the Epstein files right now. What we do need to find out, though, is these 10 co-conspirators and why the FBI didn't press charges on any of these individuals. I have some ideas of who these individuals might be. We need names, and we need to know now. We need to find out. We need to know now. Why didn't they press charges on these 10 co-conspirators? Why? Why is it that local law enforcement said this woman didn't appear that she committed suicide, but yet why did they rule it a suicide? We need to find that out as well. We need to know every single time Donald Trump was on the Epstein flight log, every single time, because we're learning there are many more times than what we first thought of. We need to know why the DOJ decided to release this and then abruptly remove it last night. Why is that? Why did they release it and then remove it? There are far more questions than answers, but all the stuff that was released does not make Donald Trump look very good. Let's put it that way.
I think it has to do with money. Don't you think? It's money.
Money equals power, my dear. I agree with you, Alexa, 150%. Donald Trump, as we know, paid off a lot of witnesses. We know that he paid off their witnesses' legal fees. There's a lot of people that were paid off a lot of money to keep their mouths shut. And yes, I do not believe that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. We've had his brother Mark on, and now we're learning that there's a new Epstein file that came out where Mark Epstein apparently told the FBI that his brother was murdered, and he believed that Donald Trump authorized it. 702-221-7283. Again, that number, if you want to be part of the program, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Tyrone, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Tyrone.
Brian, happy holidays to you and your family. First off.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Second of all, nothing you just reported am I surprised at. I'm absolutely disgusted, but I'm not surprised. And you can have one terrible individual, and there are terrible people out here, but the people that continue to support him is what's really sickening. Because if this was their daughter, niece, cousin, sister, whatever, they would want to drag the guy across hot coals and hang him from the highest tree. But instead, they support this guy because I was having a conversation with a friend today. His legacy, he has no legacy. Most presidents go into the second term trying to establish their legacy. Obama's is the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Osama bin Laden. Bill Clinton was the forget what it was, the tax reform bills that he passed, the economic. This guy has no legacy. Everything he's doing is temporary, but it's sickening. It's sickening, and he's not benefiting anybody but his ultra rich.
Well, I think,
buddy.
So I agree, Tyrone. I think what we're learning every day is more and more. Maybe his supporters are. I'm not sure. Of why Donald Trump didn't want to talk about the Epstein Files, why they've been hiding it, why Pam Bondi and Kash Patel particularly have lied under oath, why they keep covering up for this man, because he is all over the files. It's the one thing, that perhaps the man was telling the truth in. I'm sorry, but the guy who runs Tesla. Why am I forgetting? Elon. Why could I? How could I forget? How could I forget that name? Well, he hasn't been in the news in a while, but it's the one thing that Elon Musk told the truth when he said Trump's all over the Epstein Files. Now he is all over the Epstein Files, and people are saying, well, that doesn't mean he's criminal. So we've gone from MAGA saying it's fake news, it's a hoax, Trump's not in the Epstein Files, to, well, he's all over the Epstein Files, but he didn't do anything criminally wrong. That's really where we're at right now.
Right. And let me say this, Brian. Let me just ask you a question. You've got friends, like I've got friends that's got some shady stuff going on with you. I mean, I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying, rhetorically.
Yeah.
So when you have those type of people that got some shady stuff, like you try to keep them at arm's length, right? You don't go on trips with them. You don't hang out with them. You're not really socialized. It's kind of infrequent. Very, I see you passing. Hey, how you doing? If you don't share the same common interests of somebody, and I'm not talking about sports, but just like somebody that's into some stuff that's really seedy and disgusting,
you're
not going to hang out with them. So if you're hanging out with this person, you are a mirror image of this individual.
I agree, and it's funny, right? Because these are the same people who guilty by association when it comes to Donald Trump, or guilty by association when it comes to Puff Daddy or Kamala Harris, so on and so forth. So it is kind of interesting. I appreciate the call, my friend. It is so good to hear from you, and thank you so much for the phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to the next caller, and let's go to Kate. Kate is next. Before I go to Kate, it's always funny when we have people with fake YouTube accounts that go on and donate money to me just so that they can get their name heard out there. There's a guy on here named David who says Brian's in his mid-40s with no wife and kids, shouting Trump mushroom gobbler. Very bizarre and sad. Well, David, then why are you listening to my show and why are you paying me to do the show? David, why don't you call into the show? But something tells me that you won't because you're a coward and your name probably isn't David. You probably have a false fake name so that you can donate money to me so that somehow people care what you have to say. But David's the kind of guy that won't call into a show. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kate. Kate is next on PTL. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hey, what's up?
Listen, I just want to let you know that I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And this is the first time I've ever called into any goddamn programming before. But, I live in Oklahoma. I have been in politics. I was a paralegal for a very long time. I've done lots of different things. And this is how the game is, man. They've been setting this out for a very long time. They've defunded education to make people more stupid. Whatever they can do to make people into tools that they can use and toss when they're done. They pimp Christ out on every corner for $1 in a vote.
Yeah.
It's just who they are. So is this surprising that this came out today? No, not at all. This is who he's always been.
Agree. You are right. This is who he's always been. He's always been a pig. He's always treated women with no respect. However, he's never been criminally charged with anything. And I can tell you that this is a massive cover-up from top to bottom.
Absolutely. But let's be honest. Men who share these appetites, let's say, they protect each other. And that's, that's a lot of men. They're everywhere. I mean, I didn't have children because of these kinds of guys. I mean, I don't know how you can possibly fix that. We already know that there's a problem. We've got a problem. We've had a problem for a long time. I have been a Democrat my entire life, living in Oklahoma. So I understand that there's issues that have to be addressed, but the first is we have to have accountability for these people. And I don't know what that accountability looks like for everyone. I know what it looks like for me. It ain't pretty. I want them gone. They need to be locked away. They need to be tried. These people need justice, and not the kind of justice that they've been getting for millennia.
Right.
There has to be a turning point.
Well, there does. I certainly agree with you. The problem that I have is that, well, there's a lot of problems here, but the main one being I want these victims to get justice, and I feel like they've been covering this up for such a long time. I do believe this young woman was murdered. I do believe this young woman was murdered. This was not a suicide. Even local law enforcement have admitted that. And just the stuff that we've seen in these files is enough that is beyond damning for Donald Trump. And I would imagine more is going to come out thanks to people like Gloria Allred and others. But these Democrats need to keep fighting. And these Republican cowards out there will always be seen as someone, in my personal opinion, that have defended a pedophile, somebody that have defended someone who was a liable sexual abuser. The judge characterized in that case as rape. That is who they are defending.
Absolutely, but the pedophile protectors also need to, because you're either a pedophile or a pedophile protector if you're running around with these people.
No
it's
question.
One or the other. You can't be both.
Yep, but there's a fundamental difference between Democrats and Republicans today. Democrats, and they all voted to release the files. They don't care whether they're a Republican or Democrat. Everyone is pretty much on the record saying that 95% or maybe more of Republicans don't care. They just want to protect Donald Trump. They want to protect Trump, and they want to protect MAGA Republicans, and they just want to attack Democrats. That's exactly what it is, my dear, and I do appreciate your call, and I'm with you. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. Let's go to John. John is next up on PTL. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Going to make this short and sweet. I'm going to kind of say what Donald would say. You know why I know he's a pedophile? Because he's a pedophile. And I say he's a pedophile.
Well, I mean, the evidence is pretty overwhelming that there was some
and there it
wrongdoing
is.
there. Yeah, I mean, why would this woman lie under, to the FBI?
Yeah,
why would
lying.
Why would this limo driver lie? It appears as though this limo driver was probably getting paid a lot of money. Why would he want to hurt the stance of where his job was? Why would all these people just blatantly lie? Why did they have Trump derangement syndrome 20, 30 years ago? Why would they all just lie? Okay, it's nonsense. The people that are lying are Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and virtually everybody in the Trump administration that knew he was in the files. They knew it. They kept their mouth shut, and they continue to keep their mouth shut. They will always be known, in my personal opinion, as pedophile protectors. And these were the same people that were attacking those on the left. Oh, the Hollywood elitists, the pedophiles on the left, when they voted for one themselves.
Oh, and by the way, I love seeing that little white boy get beat down by a true alpha male.
Who are you referring to?
That boxing match a few days ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, Tate was beat down pretty good. And then
down.
Yeah, he was beat to a crisp. Talk about pedophiles, talk about rapists. And then
you really suing him for getting beat down?
Yeah, no, I saw that, and trust me, my friend, I enjoyed it just as much as you did. Trust me on that, okay?
Yeah.
All right, my
Merry
friend.
Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas to
Happy
you.
holidays.
You too, my friend. You and your family. Thank you for the call. Number to call 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Obviously, we are covering the 30,000 pages of documents from the Epstein Files that it appears as though were accidentally released. It seems to me that there's some sort of leaker out there. I want to know who the associates are who trafficked and raped children with Jeffrey Epstein. I would imagine all of you are probably with me on this, unless you're a MAGA Republican. Who were the associates who trafficked and raped children with Jeffrey Epstein? Why did Kash Patel claim under oath that there was no credible evidence of sex trafficking if it's outlined here in a lawsuit brought by the government of the Virgin Islands? Kash Patel belongs in jail. Virginia Guffrey accused Maxwell of recruiting her from Mar-a-Lago, where she was working when she was 16 or 17 years old. It's not clear whether Guffrey's records are the ones sought by the subpoena. That's not clear. But Guffrey died by suicide earlier this year, which is also, of course, extremely sad. And the subpoena came in closing phases of the federal case against Maxwell, who was convicted, by the way, in December of 2021. I find this all to be very, very interesting. And data set 8 of the files show that the victim stated that Trump and Epstein raped her. This is a criminal allegation. And that a limo driver heard Trump in the back speaking to Jeffrey about abusing girls. And then coincidentally, that victim committed suicide back in January of 2000 after reporting the incident. Police didn't believe that it was suicide. I don't know. Is that coincidence? And then, in my opinion, the most important document, the 10 co-conspirators that were investigated by the DOJ. Why weren't any of them prosecuted? Where are all these rapists? Where are they? And I always find it interesting that they all tried to convince their audience on the MAGA right that the Epstein Files were one of the most important issues of the election, and it would expose Democrats like Bill Clinton. I do find that very interesting as well. And as I've said, reported in the Epstein Files that Donald Trump flew on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet at least 8 times. Probably more. 702-221-7283. That number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Rhonda. Rhonda's next up on PTL. What's up, Rhonda?
What's up, Brian? Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Listen, I need an opinion from you. Hey, be quiet. I'm sorry, Brian, my dog got that now. Listen, okay. I need to ask you a question. As you know, I'm in Florida, right? Think about this. I heard this and was talking to some friends here. Do you know Pam Bondi was the AG here in the state of Florida?
I do. Yep.
Now, you got to investigate this. I think she's part of the conspiracy. She knows this stuff from the beginning, her and Jim Acosta. She knows more than what we think she don't know. That's why she's doing a covering up.
I think she knows everything. Isn't it interesting that Pam Bondi's been very quiet the last couple of days? Where is Pam Bondi? Where is she?
That's what I'm telling you. She can be a co-conspirator. As a woman, she ought to be ashamed of herself. She is knee deep into this because she was here over the case.
But it's not just Pam Bondi. I agree with you, Rhonda, but it's not just Pam Bondi. It's everybody associated with Donald Trump and his administration. Listen, Elon Musk knew the truth several months back. That's why he said that Trump's all over the Epstein Files. This has been talked about behind closed doors, probably behind Donald Trump's back. They all knew that he was all over the files, and they continue to protect him. Now, listen, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what Donald Trump did or didn't do. I can only go by what's in the files and what yes, of course, I have an opinion. But in the files, we know that there is a victim that alleges that Donald Trump raped her. In the files, we know that there was a limo driver and a witness that claimed Donald Trump was bragging and laughing with Jeffrey Epstein in the limo about abusing women. We know this because it's in the files, and oopsie daisy, they released it last night, and then they took it off today. This is the stuff that we just know for sure. I would imagine there is plenty of other stuff that we will learn in the coming, hopefully the coming days, weeks, and months. They are breaking the law. Pam Bondi is protecting pedophiles. Now, even if you don't think Donald Trump, committed any sexual violations or rape or any of that other stuff, even if you believe that, they're still protecting pedophiles. We know that it wasn't just Jeffrey Epstein that was raping kids. We know they brought a lot of people to the island, and we know that there's damning stuff in the files that could maybe hold people to account. They're protecting everybody, and that's what drives me absolutely crazy.
Me too, Brian. And Trump is on top of that list. I believe he did some of the horrific things with these kids. I'm not going to say he did not. I believe he did. I think he did too. That's why they're covering it up.
It certainly wouldn't shock me, my dear, and I do appreciate your phone call. It's good to hear from you.
Appreciate you, dear. I'm glad you're back. Thank you.
Have a good holiday. I appreciate you. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number is 702-221-SAVE. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the reset button here real quickly. I do have some audio that I want to play for you when we come back, and we'll take some more phone calls on the other side. Again, that number to call, 702-221-7283. We are covering the breaking news, 30,000 pages of documents, Epstein Files, have been released, including the DOJ publishing data set 8 briefly last night, then abruptly removing it. A letter that the DOJ, even though it was in the Epstein Files, a letter that they're saying they don't believe is real because they don't think it was Jeffrey Epstein's handwriting. I'm sure they did an extensive investigation of that. Writing a letter to Larry Nassar. Pretty damning, pretty despicable, if you ask me. So we're covering that as well as the fact that there is an alleged victim that claims that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein raped her. And then something that was called a suicide, where local law enforcement didn't believe it was a suicide. Boy, there's a lot of breaking news to break down and discuss. We're going to continue to do that with all of you. And again, that number to call, 702-221-7283. Get back to your phone calls when we come back. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Here's the deal. The country's a mess, and America's youth is stuck at the center of a tug-of-war between propaganda, billionaires, and political clowns who think TikTok is a national security threat, yet can't open their own email. But the real threat that keeps them up at night isn't TikTok. It's the power of the youth vote, and that's what the Unfuck America tour is after. We're traveling the country, hitting campuses and cities, exposing the right wing's playbook and calling out all the tricks they use to hook young people. We saw the youth vote shift in 2024, and if we don't reclaim that momentum now, we lose the future, our future. We're not bankrolled by billionaires, corporations, or dark money. We're backed by regular people like you, who won't sit back while the rich strip this country for parts. We need you to help us stay on the road to push back against the misinformation machine. Click the link in the description or head over to unfuckamericatour.com to donate, because nobody else is coming to fix this mess.
All right, welcome back. We got a lot to discuss in the remainder of the show today. We got some great guests that are lined up. Not that we didn't have great guests today. We did. Ryan Shedd, popular left-leaning podcaster. The FBI gave him a visit and for no real reason. It was crazy. He talked, this is something from the Donald Trump's DOJ and what they're doing. They're trying to intimidate people like me and people like Ryan. We also had Gloria Allred on the show, who has represented dozens of alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and she gave us her time today. I thought that was a pretty interesting 15-minute interview I did with her. Doug Berkwam, who is coming on not at the best time for him. He is a very popular right-wing, staunch Trump supporter Christian. I met him over there at Amfest in Phoenix, and we got into a spirited debate out there. That's up on my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show, the Facebook fan page, which is Pushing the Limits. Doug has agreed to come on for an all-out, duke-it-out debate tomorrow on the program, so that is going to be a ton of fun as well. So what are we talking about today? Well, if you're just joining us, you missed a lot. So the Trump DOJ briefly published data set 8 of the Epstein Files last night, then abruptly removed it. Among the letters, or I should say among the materials, is a letter that the DOJ is claiming isn't real. I'll get to that in a moment. But in the Epstein Files, a letter that was sent from Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell to Larry Nassar, the former USA gymnastics doctor and convicted sex offender. The envelope is postmarked just days after Epstein's death. Now, the DOJ is claiming it's not real because of handwriting. They haven't provided any evidence to back up that claim. I think it's real. In that letter, it says, "Our president shares our love of young, nobile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab, snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system." Additional records indicate the letter was submitted for handwriting analysis, but we haven't received anything back on that. They're claiming it wasn't his handwriting. Show me the evidence. Show me another letter that he wrote. Let's compare and contrast, shall we? They haven't done that. And in the new files that were released, Trump was accused in 1995 of rape from a victim later found dead. A Dallas limo driver said he nearly pulled over to confront Trump after hearing disturbing comments about abusing some girl during a 1995 ride. A girl later told the driver that Donald J. Trump had raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein. That girl was later found dead. Basically, what the police are saying, her head was blown off in Oklahoma. Officers on the record as saying that there was no way it was a suicide, though it was ruled one. And Kash Patel testified under oath earlier this year that internal files contained no credible information Epstein trafficked young women to anyone other than himself. And the DOJ just released internal emails referring to 10 co-conspirators. Kash Patel is a lying piece of human scum. The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Wendy. Wendy's next on PTL. Hello, Wendy.
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
I just wanted to say that during the 80s, when I was growing up in my preteen years, do you remember the Central Park 5 and how
we talk about that a lot?
All the billboards, and I knew he was so revolting that he had a big impression on my youth and my upbringing, and I just knew what a filthy scum he was, and all these people are coming up dead, and I don't know how people just are brain dead to it.
So as far as what you brought up about those 5 individuals who were, by the way, proven innocent based on DNA, he took out a page out of the New York Times, spent some money, saying that they all deserved the death penalty. And then when they were innocent, 5 innocent brown people, and then when they were released, Donald Trump never retracted. He never apologized. It is interesting. You'll never see Donald Trump take out a page in a newspaper of white people that committed serious crimes saying they deserve the death penalty, but he does it with brown people. I find that very interesting.
He also got a billboard.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember the
Yeah,
billboard? Yeah.
he spent a lot of money. I wonder why he did that. Maybe because of the color of their skin. I mean, maybe that might have something to do with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. Quite
Absolutely.
frankly, I don't know how you can still support him. I don't know how you can. I don't know how you can say to yourself, "I support Donald Trump. I'm still all in 100%." And then the people out there
I
say,
never can.
"Well, I don't agree with some of the things he does." You know, it's just
Well,
I've had
that's
it.
just bullshit.
Well, I've had it. I've had it with those people.
For real.
I mean, again, these are the same people that were talking about the Epstein Files nonstop.
What hypocrites?
Well, that's one word. Thank you for that's one word you can use. Thank you, Wendy, for the phone call. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Look, we need to remember that number one here, and I talked to Gloria Allred about this in hour number one. Gloria Allred and I agree, number one, we need to be thinking about the victims, and they deserve justice, right? There's a lot of victims. I can't even imagine how many young children were victims of sexual assault at the hands of a monster in Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell. I can't even imagine. So my heart goes out to the victims, and we need to think about them, and they deserve justice. The fact that there are so few people that have faced anything is beyond me. And yes, it does come down to money and power. Am I glad that Jeffrey Epstein is dead? Absolutely. Do I think he was murdered? Yes, I do. But with that being said, there are more. Now, if you don't think Donald Trump committed any crimes, you have the right to that opinion. Release all the files. It's time. Why it's dribble, 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 drip, drip, drip. Release all the files. And the main reason why they haven't done that is because Donald Trump is all over the files. That's why. I don't know if we'll ever get the 100% truth. Unfortunately, there's just too many people with a lot of power and a lot of money. But here's what I do know. Anytime Donald Trump doesn't want you talking about something, talk about it more. Any single time Donald Trump wants to evade a question, ask it again. He does not want to talk about this. He doesn't want to talk about the Epstein Files. He doesn't want to talk about his tax returns. Donald Trump does not want to talk about his health, or if he is asked about it, he'll lie. They don't want to release the MRI stuff. Folks, this goes beyond policy. And I'm not going to use what you guys say as, well, I don't like him personally, but I like his policies. Guess what? That doesn't work anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Bill Clinton committed any crimes, because if he did, and listen, Bill Clinton personally did some really horrible things. Why would he want all the files released if he was in there and he did some criminal wrongdoing? That's why I think that Donald Trump is in there more than just his name in there. I think there's some criminal wrongdoing. At least we already know there are criminal allegations. Doesn't mean he was charged. But we have this woman who claimed that Donald Trump raped her. Oh, yeah, by the way, Donald Trump's ex-wife in court documents in a deposition said that Donald Trump raped her. What did Donald Trump do? What he always does, pay them off. Pay people off. He did the same thing with Stormy Daniels. He just pays people off. We need to talk about this every single day. Every single day we need to talk about this. I want to play you a little bit of audio, and we're still taking phone calls, by the way. It's 702-221-7283. Again, that number is 702-221-SAVE. And I wanted to play you a little bit of audio that I have. This is how CNN covered this story earlier today in regards to the Epstein, Larry Nassar letter that was allegedly wrote, which I believe is real. I believe it's real. This is how CNN covered it earlier today.
These 30,000 pages of documents from the Epstein Files released overnight, including one which was a letter sent by Jeffrey Epstein, apparently in the days before he took his own life, to convicted sex abuser Larry Nassar, who, again, convicted of abusing so many U.S. gymnasts over the years. In that letter, Epstein wrote to Nassar, "Our president," and he was referring, it seems, to President Donald Trump at the time, "our president also shares our love of young, nubile girls."
Okay, so absolutely disgusting. Now, the DOJ in the last hour has put out a statement, Trump's DOJ, that says they don't believe it's real. And the reason is because one of the reasons was the handwriting. I would like to see Jeffrey Epstein's handwriting and how they came to that conclusion. Why haven't they released some of his handwriting? Why haven't they done that? I do want to share with you what they've said. They said the FBI's confirmed that the letter from Jeffrey Epstein to Nassar is fake. They're calling it a fake letter received by the jail and flagged for the FBI at the time. The FBI made this conclusion based on the following facts. Listen to this. The writing does not appear to match Jeffrey Epstein's. Okay, you're making that claim. Why don't you show how you came to that conclusion? They haven't done that. They say the letter was postmarked 3 days after Epstein's death out of Northern Virginia. Okay? And they said the return address did not list the jail where Epstein was held. So what? Sometimes there are letters, even from a jail, where they don't list the jail where Epstein was held. They go on to say this fake letter serves as a reminder that just because a document is released by the Department of Justice does not make the allegations or claims within the document factual. But nevertheless, the DOJ will continue to release all materials required by law. So they claim that this doesn't look like Jeffrey Epstein's writing. Wouldn't it be prevalent for them to show an actual letter that was written by Jeffrey Epstein on how they drew that conclusion? They haven't done so because this is Donald Trump's DOJ, and they have done and will continue to do everything to cover up for Donald Trump. 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Kylie. Kylie is next up on PTL. Hello, Kylie.
Hi, Brian. Okay, this may sound far-fetched, but of course everything about Trump is far-fetched. I also believe he had something to do with his first wife's murder. I can't buy that she just fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
Also, he had no right to say where she could be buried. Women don't want to be buried in the ground. His children should have said where she would be buried. Every time you turn around, and I'm sure she had all kinds of goods on him. She knew he was no angel.
Yeah, I've heard some speculation about his ex-wife's death. I think Donald Trump has a lot of skeletons in the closet, and
absolutely,
it's not just about being a horrific human being. It goes far worse than that, and the people that, so many of them that have voted for him, either they don't care or they're just ill-informed. Either way, it's awful. And it's amazing to me how we ever got this guy in office to begin with. And they want to talk about Kamala Harris's cackle. I mean, it's just these people are just listen. When Hillary Clinton called them deplorable, she was right. Okay,
absolutely,
she was right. She was right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kylie. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you. You as well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. So I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again because I want to play this clip because I think it's very important. Earlier this year, Kash Patel testified under oath that internal files contained no credible information that Epstein trafficked young women. Have a listen to this.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
The DOJ last night released internal emails referring to 10 co-conspirators. Kash Patel is lying. He should be thrown in jail. They continue to lie and cover up for the President of the United States. Why? Why? These are the same people who talked about the Epstein Files constantly, 24/7. These are the same people who blamed the left for all the pedophiles that we're dealing with in this country. Where are they today? You have a few. As I mentioned before, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's a few. Where are the rest of you? How could you be a woman and not, first of all, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't even, let me rephrase that. It shouldn't matter whether you're a woman. How could you be a human being and not want these files to be released? And the argument, again, I hear from MAGA Republicans is, why didn't Joe Biden release the files? Now, we could talk about the Maxwell case and the fact that it was under appeal and it was sealed, but let's just say, for argument's sake, hypothetically speaking, Joe Biden should have released the files. He was hiding people, hiding the files from people. Let's just say that's true, which, by the way, I don't think it is. But does that make it right? You guys were the ones talking about this when Donald Trump was on the campaign trail. Heck, basically campaigned on it. And then he had you guys looking like the imbeciles that you are with the binders in Washington, D.C. What happened? She said the list was on her desk. What happened? Democrats are pretty consistent on this, at least they have been recently. They don't care whether Democrats or Republicans are in the files. They just want justice for the victims. Release the files. There's one side of the aisle that wants responsibility and wants the victims in this case to get justice. And then there's another side of the aisle, 99% of the Republican Party, who do not. Because they know Donald Trump's all over the files. They know he probably did some awful things. And they are protecting their liable sexual abuser. That is what it comes down to. And I'm saying this to all the listeners right now because I think it's really important. We cannot stop talking about this. We cannot normalize this. We cannot stop talking about this. We got to continually talk about the things that MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump does not want us to talk about. It's really important. And while we could all get wrapped up in what Donald Trump did, what he didn't do, it's important to remember the victims. There's so many victims. I would imagine so many of them, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Okay, Carl, give me a second.
The amount of victims in the Epstein Files are insane. And it's pathetic. 702-221-7283. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next up on PTL. Hi, Carl.
Hey, buddy. Happy holiday.
Hey.
Yeah. Listen, as far as the Epstein thing goes, I think I mentioned this quite a while back, but this is very, very strange. I'll tell you why. Because he commits suicide in prison when he's pretty close to getting released. He's a multi-millionaire. He had absolutely no reason to kill himself. He was ready to talk. He said he was going to talk. And he mentioned about his trips to Pedophile Island with Trump, and he's going to bring all that out. And all of a sudden, the camera on his cell, which was on to keep him out of harm all day, 24 hours a day, seemed to have gone off for 10 or 15 minutes. And that's the time they found him hanging. It definitely sounds like a set-up murder. And I think you know who I think and you think arranged it.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein's brother also believes that. And we saw, this is interesting because we're going to get Mark Epstein back on the program. I would imagine he's been pretty busy today. But I want to repeat this because I think it's really important. So the new files show that Mark Epstein told the FBI his brother was murdered and claimed Trump authorized it. This was on February 22nd, 2023. He submitted the tip to the FBI alleging that his brother was murdered in his jail cell. But he also claimed that Epstein was killed because he was about to name names. He said, I believe President Trump authorized his murder. The report says, filed through the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. The tip was marked as non-emergency with no active threat to life.
For a number of years, they were wonderful friends, and all of a sudden, why you'd think Trump would then have pardoned him if the friendship had continued, but Trump knew that he was going to get in terrible trouble with Epstein when he started talking, and that's why this whole thing was arranged. And definitely, it's going to come out maybe not soon, but pretty not too far in the future when it's going to find out that Trump arranged this whole murder. You're going to find out.
Well, I hope we do. I hope we do find out.
I think we do.
As I've said over and over again, whether it be for the Epstein family, obviously, number one, I want justice for the victims. And listen, if Jeffrey Epstein was murdered, I don't feel bad for Jeffrey Epstein. But I mean, members of his family that didn't know what he was doing, like Mark Epstein, which I believe Mark is completely innocent here. It's unfortunately, it's listen, across the board, there are no winners here. This is a horrible story, and justice needs to be served for the victims.
There will be.
I hope so.
There will be.
I hope so.
You'll
I don't
see.
know.
You'll-
I hope
Well,
so. I don't know if we're ever going to get the redacted version. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the redacted, it will come out eventually, the redacted version, because he can't hide it. Anything that's blacked out always says Trump's name on it. I mark my words. All the blacked out lines have Trump's name on them, and the originals are still there. They're all gonna be eventually, whether he's out of office or whatever happens, it's going to come out.
Well, Carl,
And that's what
I certainly hope so, Carl. And I appreciate your phone call. I think you are a little bit more positive on this than maybe I am, but I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. I'm just not sure. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Chuck? Chuck is next up on PTL. Hey, Chuck, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind? Hi, Chuck.
It will come out eventually. Hey.
Chuck, lower your radio for me if you can.
Good.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me shut my radio off.
Sure. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, hey. Okay, I grew up with 5 sisters, all younger than me, and I ended up having 4 daughters all a year apart. And I built a house on Plum Island in Massachusetts, and one day I see this kid on a bicycle in my backyard, and my 4 daughters, ranging from 5 to 10 years old, are out in the backyard. And this guy dropped his drawers, and he's, saying, "Hey, girls, you like this?" And they come running in the house. Well, I saw it from my window, and I went after him. He had a bicycle, and I had my truck, my pickup truck. And I chased him down the other end of the island, and he ran into a fence and broke his nose. And we went to court on it, and I didn't even know that this kid who did that raped a girl the other end of the island, had like a camp for mentally challenged girls, young girls.
That's horrible.
And he worked there, and he was going to court at the same time for raping this girl.
That's horrible. What happened to him?
Well, he ended up going to jail for it, and I haven't heard nothing of it since. And
Well, that's what we want. Well, there's people in society. I'm sorry that happened. There's people in society that are very sick individuals, and I believe Donald Trump is one of those individuals. I really do. Unfortunately,
I do too. I know it. I know it.
But unfortunately, in our society, if you don't have the financial means, the people that have the money are the ones that are more powerful, that are able to hide this stuff and throw it underneath the rug. But we have to prove to the world that nobody is above the law. All these files need to be released. And just like that story, that horrible story about that rapist that was on the bicycle, I believe there are these 10 co-conspirators in the Epstein Files. They need to release the names and find out why Why did they not press charges on these 10 that were named as co-conspirators in the Epstein Files? I appreciate your call, my friend, and I am glad that that one individual was brought to justice, because that's horrible. What a sick individual. Thank you for the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Shelley. Shelley is next up on PTL. Hi, Shelley.
Hi, Brian. How is MAGA going to feel? I mean, really, seriously, this is a question. How are they going to feel when all of this comes out and Trump is caught dead in the middle of it? I mean, are they going to care? I'm serious. It's a serious question. Are they even going to give a damn?
I think some of them won't. I've said this before, and I mean it, and I say it again. If Donald Trump was seen on camera sodomizing a child, a good portion of his base would still support him. These people
I agree.
They're despicable. They have no moral compass, no character. A lot of these people are fake Christians, and as long as somebody has an R next to their name, Jack Posobiec, that scumbag, goes on social media today, and he's like, wow, these are interesting revelations. Never brings up Donald Trump's name once. Everything else other than Donald Trump. These people are sick. They know exactly who Donald Trump is. They knew it back then, and they know it now, and they still defend him.
Oh, honey, Merry Christmas. But
Thank you.
That was a serious question.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand, Shelley. I hope you have a great Christmas, and I appreciate your phone call.
Bye-bye.
Speaking of which, by the way, just to give people a little rundown on the schedule of what we are doing. God, I've been going to some Christmas parties. I think I'm going to another one tonight. I have a very busy week planned, but obviously we're not doing the show on Christmas, and we're still trying to figure out Friday whether we're going to be doing a best of show. I think we will. But we're going to be doing the show live tomorrow. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, isn't it? How about that? We'll be doing the show tomorrow. We got some big guests lined up for you tomorrow. Doug Berkwam is a big right-winger out there. You could see his stuff on social media. It's pretty popular. I'm wondering how he will defend Donald Trump here. So we'll be talking to him tomorrow, as well as some other very special guests tomorrow. And, it's the Christmas Eve tomorrow. It's the day before Christmas. Obviously, we're going to be continuing to monitor this story as well. But we will be off the air Thursday, and we're probably going to be playing a best of on Friday. A lot of people keep telling me you got to keep traveling the country and doing this man on the street stuff. So we are going to be doing more of that. Okay, we're going to be taking the show on the road, and we're going to be doing more of that stuff with the Un-F America tour. I got to be honest, I have a lot of fun, but I almost lost my voice. My voice was a little cracky Sunday. It's cracky yesterday. It's cracky today. I did a lot of screaming and yelling and a lot of talking. If you do get the opportunity, go on my YouTube page. The debate that I did, it was about a 30-minute debate with Alex Stein. It was quite entertaining. We just posted it on my YouTube page, so you'll have an opportunity to see that and all the man on the street stuff that I did in Phoenix. So you'll have the opportunity to check out that stuff as well. That's on my YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. We are approaching, I believe, if we're not already there, 40,000 subscribers. We just started posting like 4 or 5 weeks ago consistently on Facebook. And we're at close to 40,000 subs on there. We want to get to close to 100,000 subs here within a month or two, so that's our goal. But you can also go on the Facebook fan page. It's Pushing the Limits. Excuse me. I have a personal Facebook page, but it's also the fan page where I post work stuff and political stuff. Is on the fan page, which is Pushing the Limits on Facebook. The YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. At this point, the only reason why I post anything on X, even though 99% of them are a bunch of right-wing clowns, is because it brings them to the show. That's really, and I've just found out we actually just passed 40,000 on Facebook, so that's quite the accomplishment. I think we had 2,000 subs on Facebook a month ago. So I appreciate all of you guys. If you support and you enjoy this show, obviously the YouTube Super Chats we greatly appreciate. But if you really want to support independent media and you want us to help keep the lights on here, there's one simple thing you can do for me. Well, maybe two. The first thing is word of mouth. Tell other people about this show. Tell people to subscribe to our YouTube page, our Facebook fan page. That would be huge. Get people involved with this show. The second thing you can do is when you go on pushingthelimits.live, you see the website right there on the bottom of the page. If you go on pushingthelimits.live, we accept donations on there. $5, $10, $20 a month. Whatever you can afford, we greatly appreciate it. And it'll take you 1 second. You'll see a button icon there where it says donate. And obviously, we greatly appreciate that as well. We are going to stay on this Epstein story. We're going to have an epic debate tomorrow on the show with Doug Burkham, who's a popular right-wing podcaster. He's going to be joining us on the program tomorrow as well, among other very special guests that we are still working on. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope everyone has a great rest of your Tuesday. Be safe out there, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado